It may not win them an election, but it might offer some emotional relief. Rumors of a divorce between the Obamas continue to swirl. Hopefully, they'll resolve things with dignity. Meanwhile, Greg Gutfeld has launched a fiery critique against Barack Obama's legacy, turning years of polished speeches and personal charm into metaphorical ashes. With sharp sarcasm and unfiltered commentary, Gutfeld challenges the carefully crafted image of the hope and change president, highlighting what he sees as 8 years of unfulfilled promises, media favoritism, and elite hypocrisy. If you believed Obama's legacy was beyond reproach, Gutfeld begs to differ. He tears down the public persona and bluntly asks the question few are willing to. What did he actually fix? Paul weighs in, questioning whether pushing the same rhetoric that contributed to their 2024 loss will help the party now. The authoritarian-style messaging just doesn't resonate with half the country. It's not getting any better, he says. They don't seem to have answers. And regarding Obama's presence, is it just me, or is he looking worn down? This is the first time I've seen him like this. He looks rattled. Barack Obama pulled off one of the greatest political illusions in recent history, turning 8 years of underwhelming leadership into what felt like a critically acclaimed Netflix original, with a 98% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. But Greg Gutfeld doesn't need a magic wand to shatter that illusion. Just a sharp tongue, a handful of facts, and a refusal to pretend that inspiring speeches can. Obama's relationship with Joe Biden? It's like when you bring someone to a party, then lose them halfway through and realize they're off tweeting about something totally unrelated. It's awkward, a little cold, and honestly kinda mean to Joe. And that's just one piece of the bigger picture. Here's the thing. This kind of glowing praise only happens when times are good. Because if the good times were actually bad, do you think Obama would take any responsibility? Not likely. Greg Gutfeld tears back the curtain with the same energy as someone finally reading the fine print on a rigged warranty. Obama entered office promising hope and change, but by the end hope was in therapy and change was living in a tent behind a Whole Foods. The economy limped while the media called it a sprint. Wages were flat, flatter than a vegan pancake, but people acted like he handed out golden tickets. And then, in one of his famous stands against evil, President Obama bravely took on ISIS, gang violence, human rights abuses in places like Venezuela or Cuba. Nope. He went after Fox News. And then there's healthcare, Obama's crown jewel. Or maybe a crown of thorns depending on how often you had to actually use it. Check your deductible lately? Greg lights up that mess like a Christmas tree during a blackout. The rollout of the Affordable Care Act looked like it was designed by interns who'd never seen a computer, let alone coded one. Remember when we were told we could keep our doctor? Greg's still looking for his, probably somewhere in Canada by now. The Affordable Care Act turned out to be less affordable and more congrats. You're now confused, underinsured, and bankrupt. And don't even get Greg started on the Nobel Peace Prize. That still cracks him up. It was the political equivalent of handing someone a gold medal just for showing up to the race, in a shiny tracksuit, then sitting down. Meanwhile, the media gave him a standing ovation, like drone striking a wedding party was just a minor scheduling error. Then there's the surveillance state. Obama campaigned on transparency, then turned the NSA into the unofficial sponsor of Big Brother, American Edition. Greg calls it the greatest bait and switch since decaf coffee. Privacy evaporated faster than approval ratings, but as long as Obama said it in a calm, measured tone, people nodded like they were at a TED Talk. Obama didn't need a press secretary. He had an entire industry doing the work for him. Greg calls it the golden age of journalistic bootlicking. Every move was historic, every mistake was strategic, and every disaster was nuanced. If Obama sneezed, MSNBC would roll out a full expert panel to explain how it was a groundbreaking strategy for climate control. And maybe, just maybe, Obama had something to do with it all. And let's talk about today's economy. Without Obama, would we even have Trump? That's the real question. The Trump economy was so strong. Even Trump haters started lining up to take credit. What's next? Obama claiming he invented putting kids in cages. Education? Please. Obama's big idea for fixing schools was to throw money into the bureaucratic furnace and hope a phoenix would rise out of standardized testing. Greg calls it academic trickle-down. Dump billions on the unions and pray kids learn how to read before they're 30. Inner city schools didn't improve. They just got a new logo and a 5-year plan to nowhere. And then there's the gun control hypocrisy. Obama loved to lecture Americans on firearms, while being protected by more armed guards than a Marvel villain. Greg rolls his eyes. It's not a gun problem for him. So you have one problem. If hypocrisy were an Olympic sport, Obama would have taken the gold, wearing a custom-tailored suit and holding a regulation-sized teleprompter. Let's not forget, Obama deported more people than any other president. Yet he was still labeled the most compassionate. Kids in cages? Yeah, he built those cages. He just did it with soft lighting and a gentle piano soundtrack. 5 more words, fact. Check. The receipts. Again. Then there's the debt. Obama nearly doubled it, yet people still treat him like some kind of fiscal Jedi. Greg's jaw drops every time someone calls him economically responsible. That's like calling a pyromaniac innovative in home heating. Sure, he inherited a mess, but then he added wallpaper, set the whole place on fire, and blamed the smoke on someone else. After his presidency, Obama didn't retire. He rebranded. Now he's the nation's most overpaid narrator. Greg jokes that if Morgan Freeman ever needs a replacement, Obama's already got the cardigan and the smug smirk ready. There's only so much wine you can sip with Silicon Valley before people start wondering if you even remember what a job looks like. And then Trump came in and bulldozed the Obama legacy like it was made of cardboard. You could almost hear the collective gasp. You could almost hear the whimper from Martha's Vineyard. Greg points out that Obama's policies had all the permanence of a dry erase board. He ruled by executive order, and then acted surprised when those same orders got erased fast. Here's the thing. Obama wasn't incompetent. He was calculated. Every move choreographed, every speech rehearsed, every reaction delayed just long enough to seem thoughtful. Greg calls it theater governance. And he scoffs at the idea that being scandal-free means anything. That's like saying a magician never slips up just because the audience claps at the end. The only reason those scandals never blew up? Because the media treated them like awkward family secrets. Locked away in the basement, hidden under a blanket behind the fridge. And now breaking news. Obama isn't woke at all. Forget the idea of purity, of never being compromised or always politically woke. You should get over that fast. The world is messy. There are ambiguities. People who do good work still have flaws. Just because I tweet or hashtag about how you didn't do something right or use the wrong verb doesn't mean I get to sit back feeling morally superior. I call it like it is. Obama didn't drain the swamp, he installed a gift shop in it. Bureaucracy ballooned. Government power expanded. Every department got shinier logos, but accountability? Nowhere to be found. Greg jokes that under Obama, government grew like a chia pet. Just add media praise and watch incompetence blossom. Then there's the arrogance. Greg says Obama could ruin a sandwich and still find a way to blame the bread, while praising the genius of the mustard application. By the time he left office, America wasn't transformed. It was confused, broke, divided. Greg Gutfeld doesn't just roast Obama. He holds up a mirror to the entire spectacle and asks, "Are you still buying this?" Behind the branding, the carefully cropped Instagram photos, and the poetic pauses, what you had was a man who knew how to sell hope like it was an Apple product, and govern like it was a group project outsourced to interns with no Wi-Fi. And we haven't even touched on the tech censorship that flourished in Obama's cultural shadow, or the way he paved the path for weaponized identity politics to dominate everything from kindergarten classrooms to corporate boardrooms. But don't worry, Greg's just getting started. Even now, Obama floats above the chaos like some untouchable oracle, chiming in only when the press needs a nostalgic hit of manufactured grace. Greg can't help but laugh. This is the guy who laid the groundwork for every cultural tantrum we're choking on today, the blueprint for cancel mobs, selective outrage, and moral lectures delivered from beachside mansions, all stamped with his presidential seal. He didn't just lead, he curated vibes. And the aftermath? A nation that confuses hashtags for action and virtue signaling for leadership. But hey, as long as the speeches had rhythm and the lighting was soft, everyone pretended the empire wasn't crumbling. In slow, cinematic motion.